Over the past few days, there have been several videos on bottom fishing with the classic hair rig, and that's exactly what I'm continuing with now. So, classic hair rig. How do you get started with the basic carp rigs, for example, here at the Sura? Right away, two things at once that seem completely crazy. Who even fishes at the Sura, and who still uses the classic hair rig? Well, I do, because it works. And there are different waters, different baits, different fish, and some of them really like it when you fish with the classic hair rig. And there are actually some really great opportunities like right here at the Sura. So once again, I just walked blind to the Sura and picked one of those old school classic spots. I mean, not totally blind, but I figured, all right, let's just go with three different flavors, three typical flavors that always work well. Not just here at the Sura, but also, say on the Aktuba. You could totally do it there too, because they've got similar fish to what we find here at the Sura. Yeah, and then out with the whole thing, of course, with a proper ground bait mix, everything in order, a proper start, right? If you're gonna start, then do it properly. So really test it. And now it's starting, and I have no idea what's here. Bighead? Yeah, I think it's a bighead carp. Bighead carp, wild carp. Sturgeon and sterlet can also show up here. I'm super excited to see what bites here. The first fish is on, and the second one's already causing a scene. And I'm fishing with pretty small boilies. I grabbed a size 1 hook, just 14mm boilies, well, pellets really, and then just tossed them in. And it's going off right away. That's a good sign. I'd gladly take more of that. All right, now I'll try to land this one slowly. When you're standing here with a lighter setup, like HSV and a Fortuna carp, for example, you're in for a wild time with these kinds of fish. Because these fish, especially here at the Sura with that strong current, they're just pure muscle, right? These fish are incredibly strong fighters. Come on in here, buddy. 23 kilos? Bighead carp. Feels really, really good. So more of that, please. Straight back to the spot. Let's cast out again. Look, the others are already active again too. I cast toward those two tips, those 2 points. Just tossed it out casually. 35 meters. Bam! All right, drag set loose again and straight on to the next rod. I think the third one's still active too. Gotta stay on top of that. And you can already see the next flavor up here, and that one seems to be working too. And now the big question for me. What's going to bite here? In the end, I don't really care. I'll take anything. Everything's welcome. So I just go with whatever bites. Maybe something special shows up, a trophy fish or something, or maybe a sterlet or a sturgeon. There's always a possibility in between. Ah, look at that. Common carp. Wasn't expecting that. Let's get that one out of the water too. The feed says yes, still going strong. Yep, again, 35 meters. And on to the next one. Very nice. Let's keep it going. Yeah, this could definitely continue like this. Like I said, we've just started fishing in the early morning hours. We'll take a look in a moment at what kind of setup I'm using here, how it's all put together, what the ground bait mix looks like, and so on and so on. And of course, also the different bait combinations you can use here at the old Sura. I mean, who even fishes at the Sura? But really, here we go again. Another bighead carp. Yep, keep them coming. And I'm taking another load of feed out. Let's go. And immediately, we're back in action. Very nice. So now I've got a good amount of feed in the water. That means I'm skipping the next batch for now. I've already cast 1, 2, 3, 6 times actually. That's enough for now. And later, maybe toward the evening hours, I'll throw in another 2 or 3 rounds of ground bait. So we're talking around 4 p.m. or so. That's when another batch can go in. Until then, I'm leaving it as is so that it gets a nice refresh again for the evening. So, once again here, right? I'm pulling the fish with the current. The current flows down this way, so I'm bringing the fish down with the current toward me. Makes things a lot easier. Another common carp on that bait combo. Okay, that means when you've got a strong fighting fish here, always make sure to pull it downstream with the current. All right, cast it back out, 35 meters. Okay, that one was a bit off, but it'll do, I think. And we keep going. That's the way we like it. And I'm super curious, especially about this combo I've got going right now. With krill, they've caught sterlet here regularly in the past. If you're not into boilie fishing at all, or maybe you don't even know how yet, you can totally just stand here and fish with a night crawler. That works too, of course. Just toss in a night crawler, and boom, you've got action right here in the same spot. You can even go up to a size 1/0 hook, won't hurt. Size 1/0 hook and night crawler, that'll definitely get things going here. You can easily catch sturgeon, sterlet, or small catfish with that setup. Same spot, definitely an option. Again, 35 meters, just cast it right out that way, should be good. All right, now let's go a bit downstream again. Pull the fish down here with the current. That speeds things up. That way it can't fight back as much, or at least not as hard, and then just get it out. And here it comes, slowly but surely. Yep, here's the next one. Very nice. Yeah, quite a few bighead carp here. Not bad. 12 kilos, again, worth it. Also not too bad silver-wise. And things are moving fast here. Crazy. Sensational, and on a relatively fine, simple setup. Orwell with small baits. Not bad at all, right? I'll gladly take all of these. And like I said at the Sura, you're fishing at the Sura voluntarily? You're voluntarily at the Sura and testing here. Let me know in the comments, how much do you fish or test at the Sura? Or do you maybe avoid it completely because it's just always difficult? And I'll be honest, the Sura is tough. What I'm going to change now is this rod, because if we take a look at the keep net, I think it's only given me Atlantic salmon over and over. Atlantic salmon, and common carp. But I don't want common carp. So now we're testing the next bait combo, and this one always works really well too. And that's tuna. That's another classic. Tuna. We're going with size 16 and tuna. All right. And that's going straight back out 35 meters. So now we've got 4 different bait combinations going, or rather you now know 4 different combos that you should definitely test. Because when you try this sometime, the weather or the situation might be completely different, which means you'll have to test again. What's working here right now? Which bait combo is catching right now? What are the fish interested in? And as we can see, tuna is getting bites right away. Just cast and action again. Let's see whether common carp also go for tuna here. And if they don't, then that's great, because I'm not really looking for common carp here. Ah, and again, common carp. All right, casting again. One more time. Still not really enough to say anything just yet. But if common carp keep biting here, I can catch those somewhere else. I don't need them here at the Sura. I hope now, after that fish, there's going to be a bit of a break here during the midday hours. And with that, we'll just calmly go through all the rods now. Then we'll take another look at the ground bait mix. And I think then we've got everything, right? And it goes on. It just goes on. I mean, sensational. I'm super happy. And with Sura, imagine, man, without anything at all, just heading to a classic old spot and casting out again, and bam, immediately something's happening. By the way, I was standing right here. Also quite interesting. Maybe for those of you who still want to finish the anniversary missions, I was standing right at this spot with a wacky rig. And yeah, I cast out the wacky rig. Let's take a quick look. This is the mission, Premium Level 2, Mission 3. These are the last fish here. The Russian sturgeon caught on wacky rig, and the bighead carp also caught on wacky rig, both with the nasty worm 4.5001. Just casually retrieved it, just ran it through real easy for the mission. Bam, bites coming in, and then the fight hits hard, and the fights were really spectacular on a light setup. But with that, the mission was done, so definitely doable. It doesn't stop here, right? It just doesn't stop. But I'm super happy. I'll gladly take all of it. Catching nice bighead carp here, We'll check in a moment how much cash they bring. Not too bad, right? All right. All right, dropping the ground bait mix again and casting back out. The thing is, with ground bait balls, it's not that great because we're at 35 meters here and you can only throw balls a max of 20 meters. That means using balls is kind of tricky. So basically, you stand here with a rod and a feeder cage, for example, and maybe you've got a night crawler on it, and you start by casting in with the ground bait and the night crawler. Or you start with 2 rods, both with feeder cage and night crawler, and have 1 rod without ground bait. That's basically the rod with the boilies on it. And once you've cast 10 times or so, you've maybe got 200 grams of feed in there. You can switch everything over to boilie, and then it runs, at least for the effective duration of the ground bait mix. The effective time is always listed on the ground bait mix, and we'll take a closer look at that in a moment. And I think, yeah, slowly we're getting there. There's another common carp, right? I'll need to change that again. That's still not ideal, and we just scared that one off. Perfect. And with that, let's now check the setup. So, classic hair rig. Again, super simple. This is the rig you definitely want to level up in bottom fishing. Totally basic, absolutely essential for every bottom angler who wants to go into carp fishing at some point. You need sinking boilies for every carp species, and that's exactly what you've got with the classic hair rig. Always sinking boilie equals classic hair rig. There are also soluble boilies, really good. You can experiment a lot with them, worth it. So, essential, hair rig. Essential, 2 pop-up brick. That's your basic setup. With that, you can fish most spots on most waters pretty well, and that's how I put it together here, with a pellet and boilie combo. So you pick them, pellet and boilie. In this case, the combo is completely on krill. So, krill and krill, pellet and boilie with krill dip. And here on rod 3, same thing again. Select your pellet and boilie combo, and then we've got tuna and tuna. Before it was salmon and salmon. 2 very important baits. 2 baits that keep working well again and again. Definitely worth testing. Tuna and salmon. Just as important is the 3rd combo with halibut. Also absolutely essential. So krill, tuna, salmon, halibut, all absolutely essential baits. You've got to try them on these waters if you're after wild carp, bighead carp, sturgeon, and sterlet. Works really well again and again. Now, I haven't even cast out that 1 rod yet because it brought me common carp twice in a row. So I'll switch over to river crayfish and we'll see if we can find a boilie version of river crayfish. But these are 24s. They're huge. They only come in that size here. No idea why they only exist that big. Totally crazy. So, huge size, too big for me. You could go for double pellet now. Maybe you know that from Octuba, like crayfish, and then there's crab and fish. That also works well. Let's do that. Crab and fish again as dip, or test it with river crayfish dip. Either way, same idea, cast out again. So now I've tested so many different baits, and again all with 1 ground bait mix. That means 1 mix which is basically neutral. So the ground bait mix doesn't match the bait. Ground bait attracts fish and should appeal to the fish's preferences. That means no matter what your bait looks like, the ground bait has to attract the fish. Then you can always test with different baits, see what else they want to bite. So here's the ground bait mix. It's the original sturgeon mix. If you don't know it yet, copy it immediately, save it. You can save any mix. This ground bait mix is a must-have for every angler. Every bottom angler needs it in their inventory. Absolute must. Works for so many fish species. Besides sturgeon and sterlet, also really interesting for bighead carp, wild carp, but also sometimes interesting for barbel like at Bear Lake. So the original sturgeon bottom mix with rapeseed as the base. So rapeseed base, zebra mussel is in it. In English that's zebra mussel. Chopped worms are in it, clay is in it, dried krill as a component, and crab and mussel as the aroma. And as we can see up here, it's got an effective time of 27 hours. That effective time is also influenced by the clay. So, a mix without clay usually doesn't last quite as long. Plus, apparently the clay works extra well for fish that are really active on the bottom, like sterlet or sometimes the arrow barbel. So, fish that are bottom-oriented seem to be more influenced by mixes with clay. And there's something on, look at that, the new bait combo. New combo, river crayfish and crab and fish. Nice. So that also seems to work. That means we've got krill working, we've now got river crayfish with crab and fish, and we've got halibut. So 3 combos that already work great with the sturgeon ground bait mix. And now we're already hitting the evening hours. That means it's almost night again. I'm curious what'll still happen, especially for sturgeon and sterlet. It's quite likely it'll continue into the night. What have we got here? Another bighead carp? I'm curious. Let's lift it up a bit. Slowly coming in, right? Oh yeah, but it's still putting up a good fight. We need to crank up that drag a bit. Crazy. I'm honestly impressed. Looks really, really good. 17 kilograms, bighead carp, and caught nicely during happy hour. That's how it goes. Right here on the spot, happy hour started with the first cast, and then it just kept going great. That's how we like it. Let anyone say happy hour doesn't affect the fishing. All right, I'll keep going here during happy hour. Bam, bam, bam. Or wait. I'll fade in how it looked now with the ground bait mix. 25 minutes, 24 minutes now, here at the spot. Looks pro fish caught. Lots of testing, of course, at the beginning, but I think with this bait combination now, it really seems like this could keep going for a while. If you liked it, leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I really like it, and it really helps me out. And then, see you in the next video, or in the next live stream. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, always from 7 p.m. Tight lines.